I didn't think of it as paying for a party. It felt more like closing a circle. 40 years of their marriage, a backyard that had seen everything, and a chance to make something soft and complete. I covered the tent, the flowers, most of the catering. My name wasn't on anything. That wasn't the point. When my aunt's message came, it was written like a quick update. Guest list tight, space limited. Hope you understand. I read it twice, then waited for the follow-up that would correct it. It didn't come. My mom called later, her voice careful in a way that meant she'd already decided something. It's not personal, she said. I remember standing in my kitchen, looking at the receipt for the tent rental still open on my phone. I tried to match her tone, reasonable, light, but there was a gap I couldn't step over. If it wasn't personal, then what was it? I didn't ask. I said, okay, and we hung up with that polite softness people use when they don't want to press on something fragile. For a few hours, I moved around my day like nothing had shifted, but small things kept catching. The way I'd chosen the flowers because my mom once said she liked them. The menu I'd adjusted for my dad's diet. None of it felt like generosity anymore. It felt like a role I'd been playing without noticing. That night, I opened the emails. The tent company responded first. There was still time to cancel with a partial refund. The caterer needed a formal request to freeze the order. The venue deposit required a phone call, a brief explanation, and a confirmation number. No one asked why. They just processed it. There was something almost steadying about that. No emotion, no interpretation. Terms were terms. Inclusion had never been written into any of it, but contribution had, and that part at least I could control. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. It didn't feel like something that needed an announcement. I wasn't trying to make a point. I was just aligning things. The days passed quietly after that. No one reached out. I assumed the plans had adjusted, or maybe they hadn't noticed yet. Either way, the distance held. The morning of the party, my phone started ringing. I let the first few calls go. Then more came, back to back, my dad's name filling the screen. By the 10th call, it was clear something had surfaced. By 17th, it felt less like coincidence and more like urgency finally catching up. I answered. There was noise behind his voice, movement people, something not working the way it was supposed to. Where are you? He asked, not angrily, but tightly. At home, a pause. Then the tent. There's nothing here. The catering. No one's coming. Do you know anything about that? I sat down at the edge of my bed. For a moment, I almost filled the silence with an apology I didn't owe. I canceled my contributions, I said. Another pause, longer this time. The kind where understanding arrives, but doesn't settle comfortably. Why would you do that? I thought about all the ways I could answer, about explaining how it felt, about naming the pattern, about asking questions I already knew wouldn't be answered honestly. Instead, I kept it simple. I wasn't included, I said. So I stepped back from funding it. There was a shift on the other end, something between frustration and realization. Not agreement, exactly, but recognition that the situation had changed shape. That's not how we do things, he said finally. I didn't respond right away, because maybe that was the point. Maybe how we do things had never really worked for me. I think it is now, I said. The call ended without resolution. No raised voices, no clear ending. Just a quiet break in expectations. I didn't go to the party. Later, I heard it still happened. Smaller, different. People filled in gaps where they could. My mom didn't mention it when we spoke a few days later. My dad kept the conversation to neutral ground. Nothing collapsed, but something didn't fit the same way anymore. I started noticing it in small choices after that. What I said yes to, what I didn't explain, where I showed up fully and where I held something back. It wasn't about punishment. It wasn't even about them, not entirely. It was about understanding that care, when it's assumed without presence, turns into something else. Something quieter but heavier. I still send flowers on their anniversary. I just don't plan the whole room anymore.